So after 1,158 hours in Claude Code, here's the thing nobody tells you. Most of what you'll find on YouTube about this tool already is outdated. The system changes every few months. The workflows shift. What worked in October generally does not work in February. And I'm not talking about small stuff. I'm talking about fundamentally different ways of working. I spent those hours building 3 production systems, a SaaS that does 100 grand a year, a government access control system, and a full business running through AI agents and custom service MCPs. This is everything that actually matters. And there's one thing everyone recommends that made everything worse for me. I'll get to that. So let's start from the beginning. My first project was the MChamp. It's an AI sales agent. You connect it to WhatsApp, Instagram, your website, whatever. And it handles customer conversations, closes deals, makes about 100 grand a year in revenue. Now, the MChamp already existed when I started using Claude Code, existing code base, and honestly, the code was kind of a mess because it was originally built with a no-code tool called Flutterflow, and then we exported it, and the setup was just you open the repo and run Claude Code. It goes through everything, reads the files, and understands the structure. That's it. There was no major migration, no restructuring, just the initialization command and go. Did it break stuff? Yeah, but so do normal developers. That's not a Claude Code problem, and with the latest models, it barely makes mistakes anymore. But here's where it gets interesting. On top of the MChamp, I built a separate system with 6 AI agents that handle the entire support pipeline. If a bug comes in, one agent figures out what's wrong, another one writes the fix, another one messages the customer on WhatsApp saying it's resolved. I wake up, check the fix, approve it, done. 6 agent, 4 custom MCPs, all running in production. And the setup file for this project is just a basic claude.md file explaining the repo and how to add new agents. Nothing fancy. When you're starting out, you don't need a complex setup. You just need to start. Now here's where most people go wrong, and I made this exact mistake. So once the MChamp was running, I started working on a much bigger project, a government access control system. You know, tap to enter badges, admin dashboard, mobile app, the whole thing. It's over 8,000 files. And I thought, well, Claude Code is amazing, right? So let me just let it build everything, fully autonomous, end to end, and no human checking anything. Well, it does not work. And I know that's not what you want to hear because everyone on the internet is telling you to just let AI do everything. But for anything going into production, the bottleneck is checking whether the code actually works. Claude can write tests, but they're basic, and testing the actual interface, what takes you just a minute, just clicking around and seeing if the things look right, takes the AI 50 minutes. It has to open a browser, take screenshots, analyze them. It doesn't have that visual speed yet. So the real workflow is AI builds fast, human verifies, that's it. Don't skip the verify step. I tried it, it cost me weeks, but that wasn't even the real lesson from this project. The real lesson was something I stumbled into by accident. So I'm working on this government project, 27 features across the app, and Claude keeps losing context. It doesn't know what a feature is supposed to do. It's mixing things up, writing code that runs but doesn't fit the system. And I'm thinking, okay, the model isn't stupid anymore. They're really smart now. I've seen what it can do, so the problem has to be on my end. So I reorganize everything, one folder per feature. Authentication gets its own folder, access badges gets their own folder, permission locations, cards, every feature isolated, including the util functions for that feature in the features folder. 15 features on the back end, 12 on the front end, each one self-contained. But here's the part that made a real difference. Every single feature folder gets its own instruction file, not just a description. I'm talking about what the feature is for, how it works, what the current status is. Everything Claude needs to understand the context. 27 of these across the whole project. So when Claude works on the access badge feature, it automatically loads all of that context. It knows what the feature is for, how it connects to the rest of the system, what's already been built. That was the unlock. Claude is only as good as the context you give it. No context, it writes code that runs but makes no sense. The other thing is I did project management inside the repo. Not Jira, not linear, just text files. 107 task files to do, in progress, completed, block, dependencies between tasks. So why not a real project management tool because Claude Code can read local files instantly. The moment you make it talk to an external tool through an API, it's slower and less reliable. We actually built a custom integration with ClickUp, and it's still slower than just reading a text file for an AI. Local is king when it comes to Claude Code. So at this point, I've got a SaaS running on Claude Code, a government system with a proper structure, and I'm thinking, okay, I figured this out. But then things got a lot bigger. Quick thing, if you're watching this and you want to set up Claude Code for a real project, I'm building a community called Claudify where we do exactly that. Real builds, not just toy projects. Links in the description. So the third project isn't even a project. It's my entire business running through Claude Code. I run a consulting business, this channel, a SaaS product, and client delivery, all from one repo, over 1,000 files, 7 custom MCP servers. And when I say custom, I mean I built these myself, or I let Claude build them for me. One checks how brands appear when you ask ChatGPT or Gemini a question. One does keyword research. One generates images. One finds stock video. One scans what's trending on GitHub and Hacker News for content ideas. So why did I build my own? Because once other people have bait, don't quite do what you exactly need for real work. Every time I hit that wall, I ended up building my own. That's the pattern. And of course, you can use that existing MCP as a base because most MCPs are open source anyway. Now, here's the big one. And this goes against what basically everyone is saying right now. Everyone talks about giving agent roles, make a front-end developer agent, a PM agent, a designer agent. The government project actually has 15 agents set up like this. And if I'm being honest, it doesn't make things noticeably better. They work, they run, but the output isn't really different from just using Claude Code directly with good context. What actually makes a difference is giving agents specific tasks. For example, not be a developer, but instead it's take this transcript and generate a video timeline, or take this data and create a client report, or find the best GIFs for each section of this video. Each agent gets specific tools and specific context. They do one thing well, 14 of these plus 24 skills. A skill is basically a set of instructions for a specific job. So instead of explaining how to write a video script every time, Claude just loads the skill and knows exactly what to do. Same for audits, reports, timelines, one skill per job. And the latest evolution is these task agents working together in teams, not one agent calling another, actual teams with a shared task list. So I have a command, it says produce this video, it kicks off a team. One agent builds the timeline, another one finds GIFs, another one sources stock footage. They're all working in parallel off the same task list, coordinating with each other. That's the part that feels genuinely new. I'm not managing each agent. They pick up tasks, do their work, report back. It's the closest thing to having an actual team. Now you might be wondering, when do you use a sub-agent versus a full team? It's quite simple. A sub-agent is for one-off tasks. You send it off, does the thing, it's done. The context is gone. A team is when you need back and forth, multiple agents coordinating, passing work between each other, building on what the others did. That's the difference. And here's something nobody talks about. Just like your code accumulates technical debt, your Claude Code setup does too. Skills get outdated, agent reference old patterns, instructions, they start contradicting each other. He wrote something 3 months ago that's now wrong, and the AI is following those old instructions instead of the new ones. I have a 346 line document just for how to maintain the AI setup itself. Every time something gets added, I clean up the whole structure, same way you'd clean up code. And sometimes Claude creates new shortcuts on its own. I noticed a workflow I kept repeating and just made a command for it without me asking. And the last thing, the workflow keeps changing. When I started, you had to approve every single edit. Then I realized you can bypass that. Then plan mode came out, where Claude plans first and you review before it builds. Now I just say think about this first in plain English, and it does, and it even goes into plan mode itself. That's 4 different workflows in less than a year. If you're watching a Claude Code tutorial from 6 months ago, it's probably teaching you the old way. Alright, so remember that one thing I said at the beginning, the one thing everyone recommends that made everything worse? It's adding everything at once, every MCP server you can find, every skill, every plugin. People treat it like a shopping spree, more tools, more power. Well, it's actually the opposite. You give Claude 40 tools and it doesn't know which ones to use, quality goes down. The government project has 15 agents, but it didn't start with 15. I started with 0. Hit the wall, added one, hit another wall, added another. Every single one earned its place. Start with nothing, add things only when you feel the pain of not having them. Less is more until it isn't. So that's 1158 hours compressed. You start by just opening your repo and going. Don't overthink it. It works on messy code bases. It works on existing projects. Then you structure everything, one folder per feature, context files everywhere, task inside the repo, and always a human checking anything that goes to production. And eventually you build a system around it. Custom MCP servers when the generic ones don't cut it, task agents instead of raw agents, and you maintain that system the same way you maintain your code. The difference between 10 hours in Claude Code and 1,000 hours isn't knowing more features, it's knowing which ones to ignore. If you want to see the actual repo structures, agent configs, and workflows I use, I share all of that inside Cloudify. Links in the description. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.